back to the 90s!
Nick, 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 Nick.
Oh, here it goes.
I'm a Ditt, he's a Ditt, she's a Ditt, we're all Ditt. I'm a Ditt, he's a Ditt, she's a Ditt, we're all Ditt.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to Nostalgia. Eddie Murphy is back as Axl Foley on Netflix and he is just as great as he ever was. People don't remember this now, but there was a time in the 80s when Eddie Murphy was the biggest name in showbiz. He carried SNL after the likes of Chevy Chase and Bill Murray left, fresh off having two of the biggest selling stand-up shows of all time. It was inevitable that he would go on to be one of the biggest stars on the big screen, and boy, did he shine. So let's count them down. These are our top 10 favourite Eddie Murphy movies. Just a quick note, you will not find any of the Shrek films here. We love Donkey, Eddie Murphy's amazing in those, but you wouldn't call those Eddie Murphy films. We all good? We all comfy? Okay, let's do it. Top 10 favourite Eddie Murphy movies. Let's get it. Dr. Dolittle only just made it into our top 10. And when you see the honourable mentions at the end of this video, you're going to get why it was such a close call. But Dr. Dolittle definitely deserves its spot in our top 10. I really like this film, and it was at a time when Eddie was moving into more family-friendly roles. After this, he made the PJs, which I love. It's a great series. Films like Shrek, Pluto Nash, Daddy Daycare. That's what would follow this. And this is a great film. It's Eddie Murphy talking to animals. I mean, what's not to love? I think we have to talk about this because this was the end of the Eddie Murphy run. After this, he was kind of in the wilderness for a decade or two. There has never been anyone better at playing multiple characters in a film than Eddie Murphy. The amount he goes through, all the prosthetics, all the time in the makeup chair, just to make us laugh is so commendable. And Norbit is a great example of this. This film has me in stitches every time I watch it. In my opinion, it's his most underrated film. Where is the love for Norbit, guys? Come on. Surrounded by an insane cast. You got Tandy Newton, Terry Crews, Cuba Gooding Jr., Marlon Wayans, Eddie Griffin, Cat Williams. Eddie Murphy is piss funny as Norbit, Rasputia, and especially as Mr. Wong. He's Norbit's Asian whale hunting restaurant / orphanage father figure. No way could you do this in 2024.
Bingo! Right in the blowhole!
I mentioned it earlier how Eddie went through his family-friendly, studio-approved phase. Well, Haunted Mansion is the best film from this Murphy era. Haunted Mansion is as much a go-to every Halloween in the Big G household as, say, Hocus Pocus or Monster Squad. Me and the kids watch it every Halloween. And I love the ride at Disneyland. I love this film. And for someone like me who likes spooky rather than scary, you know, because I'm a big fanny, this is right in my wheelhouse. Here we go. Now, I usually end up throwing a wild card into these lists, and here it is. You can say this is a stand-up and not a film, but it is feature length. It got a release in cinemas. It got released on video. And the most important thing, there is a key detail that you guys are forgetting. This is my top 10 favorites list, and I don't give a shit what you guys think. I have to talk about Eddie Murphy Raw. It is classic.
That's the phone, motherfucker. That's not me. No, I'm not answering shit. I pay the bills. I'm answering the phone too. Who am I, Alexander Graham Bell up in this motherfucker?
When I first saw Eddie Murphy do Raw, I was maybe 6, maybe 7. Either way, I was way too young to be watching this, but to this day, 30 odd years later, this stands the test of time. This is the best stand-up show ever produced. No questions asked. I literally cannot go a day without quoting this show. Tell Bill to have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Flour and filth. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? Half. Pull over, pull over. Hey, you're the Mr. Fuck You Man. I love it. And these are literally only the quotes that I can actually say on here, because trust me, this is not PC. Go back and watch it with a modern eye. There are some moments where you're like, Jesus, Eddie, you can't really say that, but I bloody love every second of Eddie Murphy's Raw. It is brilliant. Yo, Vampire in Brooklyn is my shit, and no one has ever heard of it. This is Eddie's attempt at a horror film written by his brother Charlie, directed by the legendary Wes Craven. Eddie plays the smooth as fuck Maximilian, the Caribbean vampire. He comes to Brooklyn to seduce Angela Bassett, and can we take a moment, can we just say, damn, Angela Bassett was fine. She was one of my first ever crushes. I love her so much. This film has everything. It's funny, scary, deep, there's gore, there's romance, and one of the best soundtracks ever. This has MC Hammer, Stevie Wonder, and because of this film, because of this soundtrack, I now love You Masakela. And the makeup and the prosthetics are insane in this one. It wasn't until literally years later that I realised that Eddie played the Italian white guy Greedo. Insane. I know 90% of you listening to this have never seen this film. Go watch it. You won't regret it. It's awesome. This has been one of the best experiences putting one of these lists together, because I got to go back and watch all Eddie Murphy films. But I have never struggled putting a list together like this one. Any of the next 5 films could have been number 1. They are all top tier, great. And as if to prove my point, Nutty Professor is only number 5 in this list. And it is arguably Eddie's best performance.
Let me muscle again. Oh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
Nutty Professor was the first time a studio turned to Eddie Murphy and just said, do what the hell you want. And he ran with it. Those scenes where he plays the whole family are arguably the funniest scenes ever put on film. And I could not imagine what a ball ache it must have been to make those.
Come on, Clem. Come on. Come over here.
We love Eddie as Sherman Klump. Your heart just immediately goes out to this big lad. But as the Hyde to Sherman's Jekyll, when he is Buddy Love, we see Eddie Murphy at the peak of his powers. So fast talking, so smooth, so physical. He goes from being so sweet and so romantic to off the walls, batshit nuts in the blink of an eye. In this film, Eddie Murphy is a tour de force. We all know that Eddie Murphy is one of the funniest people to ever exist, but he does have range. We've seen it in the likes of Dreamgirls. My lad can act his arse off, and that is never more evident than in life. This time he teams up with Martin Lawrence, and they have the perfect chemistry as Ray and Claude. Set in 1930s Mississippi, this film runs the gamut of emotions. It's so funny, so dramatic, and it definitely touches on the race issues of the time. Man, this film gets emotional. You get to see all these different relationships that get formed in prison. For instance, you've got Biscuit and Django Leg getting intimate together. Willie, he kind of takes up this father figure role. You've got Can't Get Right, who's having a baby with the warden's daughter. And it is such a credit to this mad cast. You've got Eddie, Lawrence, Bernie Mac, Bokeem Woodbine, Anthony Anderson. Shit, even Rick James pops up in this. Quality film.
The upper room
that made Eddie Murphy an A-list star. I freaking love the Beverly Hills Cop films. I love all of them. Even the new one, it was pitched perfect. The dialogue, the music, it was like stepping back into the 80s. But the OG Beverly Hills Cop film, that is pure class. Buddy cop films were everywhere at this time. Lethal Weapon, Tango and Cash, Turner and Hooch, Stop or My Mum Will Shoot. But Beverly Hills Cop does buddy cop, fish out of water, 80s action, comedy better than any of them. Beverly Hills Cop is what most people will think when you say, name an Eddie Murphy film. Murphy is Axl Foley. Axl Foley is Eddie Murphy. It is a perfect storm of a film.
Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
My girl wants to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time.
Happy New Year!
Oh my god, Trading Places was so nearly my number one. It was so back and forth the whole way. Like Haunted Mansion is now a Halloween regular, Trading Places has found its way into my Christmas routine. Every Christmas Eve, I get the kids to bed, and then when Santa's dropped off all the presents, I stay up all night arranging for Christmas morning. I whack on Trading Places. And I watch Dan Aykroyd shove a whole salmon down into his Santa costume. This 80s version of The Prince and the Pauper is now one of my all-time favourite films. One of the greatest casts ever. You got Eddie, Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis, Denham Elliott, Jim Belushi, Frank Oz is in this, but this is Murphy's film. And he is going from begging on the streets to living the high life as an 80s yuppie. You fell in love with Billy Ray Valentine. I love the end to this film when you've got Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis and Eddie and they get their own back on the Duke brothers. I only watch this film once a year, every Christmas Eve, and it's like a little Christmas present to myself. I love it that much. But there is one more film that I adore more than all of these classics.
Yeah.
Coming to America isn't just the best Eddie Murphy film. It isn't just the best John Landis film. It's not the best 80s film. It is the best comedy film of all time. Eddie Murphy's best work is always when he teams up with John Landis. They know each other inside and out. Landis knows when to let Eddie be Eddie. And my issue isn't converting you guys. It isn't talking about how great this film is, because I could literally talk for hours and hours just about this one film. Let's start with the cast. Now, Eddie's a star. Eddie's amazing. But Eddie and Arsenio Hall together, that is comedy gold. You've got James Earl Jones, King Jaffe Joffer. He's so powerful, so magnetic. You got Louis Anderson, John Amos, a tiny Cuba Gooding Jr. This was for the first time we ever saw Samuel Jackson in a movie. And we cannot talk about the cast without mentioning Shari Headley as Akeem's love interest Lisa. We all fell in love with Lisa. She's just so adorable. Speaking of, as much as this is a comedy, it is also a romance. And we are all rooting for Akeem and Lisa to get together at the end. And the comedy is off the charts. You do not stop laughing from start to finish. From Soul Glow to the old barbers arguing about who would win between Ray Lewis and Rocky Marciano.
Hey, it's Kunta Kinte!
You've got the legend that is Randy Watson.
Mr. Randy Watson, yes!
I believe the children are our future. Thank you. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
You have that incredible scene at the bar where you've got Eddie and Arsenio Hall and they're chatting up all the psychos in Queens. And it could have just been a throwaway 80s romantic comedy, but it goes above and beyond, even when it doesn't need to. It's got this incredible score and it looks beautiful. That scene at the start in Zamunda with that dance routine, That's just incredible. And at the centre of all of this, you have our boy, Eddie Murphy, playing multiple roles. Again, we mentioned he's Ramsay Watson. He's having an argument with himself as both the barber and the old white Jewish fella in the barber shop. And of course, he is Akeem. And I don't think Eddie has ever been more likeable, more relatable. He's so sweet, he's naive, he's loving, he's romantic. I love him as Prince Akeem. By far, his best role. What more can I say? Well, I can actually say a lot more, but I'll leave it there. All of these films are great, but Coming to America, it is one of the best films ever made. Yo, this might be the most fun I have ever had doing one of these lists. I loved going back and watching all these films. I love talking about Eddie Murphy. He's a legend. But remember, this is top 10 favourites. We don't say top 10 best, we don't say greatest, because now it is your turn. You have to get to the comments. Did I get it right? Which are your favourites? Let us know in the comments. And while I'm on one, I just wanted to take a moment just to say a big thank you. Listen, you guys have 1,000,001 choices out there with YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music. The fact that you come and listen to us means the world to us. Seriously, it really does. Those of you that haven't already, you can do all the shit, you know, subscribe, like the videos, share the videos, go to the Facebook page and follow that. But the only thing I really care about is the comments, because I want to build this community. This is your channel, guys, so get in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you want to see more of, and we'll get on it. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you on the next one. G out.
When I